Hi guys, Ivano here, back with some more 7.4 PTS content, and this time I tested the changes to Vengeance Juggernaut. So first a quick recap. Broadsword removed the cooldown reduction to Shatter, which you could previously get from Major Fracture, the level 23 mod in the tree. That means this talent is all but dead for PvE and probably also PvP, and you are now going to run Deep Cuts. Now, Deep Cuts, in case you didn't know, is the other level 23 option, which is supposed to give you 10% critical chance on your bleed effects if Shatter is on the target. And in 7.4 it will receive a bug fix, but from the description it was not quite clear to me what exactly was bugged about it. They did not say whether the issue that they're talking about here would always occur or only in some specific circumstances, or whether Deep Cuts would give you some critical chance or just don't do anything at all. So I wanted to test whether Deep Cuts does anything at all in the current patch, and if the issue, whatever it may be, was fixed on PTS. To do so, I started on the live server and I did 3 parses on the Warzone training dummy using Deep Cuts, and then looked at the crit percentage in Parsley. And as you can see, around 60% of my bleeds were critical hits. That might seem high overall, but if you have seen my Vengeance PvP guide, you will know that I run around 5000 crit. And of course the Champion's Precision implant, which also gives you an additional buff to critical. Of course, there will always be RNG involved with crits, so that's why I parsed multiple times to reduce the variance. And you can see from the different parses I did, all the crit values that I got were between 58 and 63%, which is a range that I guess you would expect. Next, I respect to Major Fracture and repeated the same test while still on the live server. And here are my results. On the left, you see the averages from my previous test, which you also saw on the last graphic. And on the right, my results when running Major Fracture. And as you can see, there is a difference, but it's not huge. 61.4% critical hits with Deep Cuts compared to 58.7% with Major Fracture. Now, that could just be RNG. So maybe my Deep Cuts test was a little lucky, but it might also be the case that Deep Cuts is giving you some extra critical chance, but not the full 10%. So next I copied my Juggernaut to the PTS and repeated the same test on patch 7.4. And here are the results. So using Deep Cuts, I now got an average bleed critical of 68.7%, so significantly higher than on live. Whereas Major Fracture gave me 57.5, which of course is very close to the value I got on the 7.3 patch. So from this I take away 2 things. First of all, the expected critical percentage without Deep Cuts is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 58%, meaning on live either my test was a little bit on the lucky side of RNG or Deep Cuts was partially working. But most importantly, Deep Cuts seems to be fixed on the PTS and now gives you the full 10% extra critical on your bleed effects. And that means it will very likely be the go-to option for Vengeance Juggernauts in 7.4. And all in all, this is not a small buff to Vengeance, because more bleed crits means more resets on your cut to pieces, and we all know what that means.
Slam now, we got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam.